everyone, I'm Emma and this is Emma Rosen Books. I am going to do my August wrap up. So I've got my bullet journal. I just use a hardback A5 book, and this is not a beautiful bullet journal. It's, well, bits of it are alright. It's functional, really. But I keep a list of everything I've read in here, so I thought I would grab it. I've lost the page already. I thought I'd grab it so that I could remember what I have read. Now, the first book that I read this month was this one, Eats, Shoots and Leaves. This I picked up in a charity shop. I know it was like really popular when it came out in 2000 and whatever it was, like 2003. And I didn't read it at the time. And when I saw it in the charity shop, I was like, actually, I'd be quite interested in that. I had mixed feelings about it because it goes into quite a lot of detail on things that I didn't really know. My spelling and grammar and punctuation is okay, but some of the little tricky little rules I'm not that confident on. Sometimes get a bit muddled with commas and semicolons. You know, I think we all have our little foibles, don't we? Well, certainly none of us are perfect anyway. And there's lots of like interesting little rules and examples, and I certainly did learn from reading this, and I'd like to look at it again. But some of the examples that are given are a bit like highfalutin, I suppose. They're from really fancy texts, or some of the examples given, I don't know, I felt like some things were a bit over my head, and I don't mind, and I'm pretty well read. I just think it was a little bit pitched too high in terms of the literature reference, not in terms of the actual content. I mean, it wasn't terrible that was the case. It just sometimes was a bit like, oh, okay, well, I haven't read that either. And I think I did get to the point where I was a bit like, I don't care about these grammar rules anymore. But in that respect, I think maybe this isn't so much a book for one sitting. I think you need to read a bit and then digest it or reference it. But it's entertaining and interesting. So there's just bits of it that I felt like it was unnecessarily literary, if that makes sense. It didn't need to be quite so much like that. What was quite fun with this is because it was released in 2003 was that there were references to things that are now really dated, and talking about things like text speak, which people don't really do anymore because you've got predictive text and just the way that we send instant messaging, and also using other services like Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp and whatever, it just isn't the same as in the old days with a phone where you had to keep pressing a number until it came up with the right letter, and you'd get bored and frustrated, or, you know, if you had to press the 7 to get the, I don't know, what's that, PQRS, I think, T. Is T on it? Is it PQ? I can't remember anyway. And you press it, and then you've got another letter that's on the same number, so you've got to wait a minute and then press it again. And so it was just that, you know, that's why text speak happened. So, you know, things like that was like, oh yeah. So some of the references are a bit cute because the book is dated just in some of the cultural references. But, you know, good book, popular for a good reason, I think. And I would give that one 4 stars. It was a good one. The next book that I read this month was on audiobook. I use Overdrive to get books at the library. And it's not on my phone actually, because I haven't got it downloaded anymore, so I can't show you the thing, so I just put a picture up here, was the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This is the Comic Relief paperback version, and well, obviously it's not paperback if I'm listening to it on audiobook, but you know what I mean, it's not like to do with the feast before the film. And this was really good fun. It gave me a lot of kind of reminiscing of the different magical creatures from the Harry Potter series, and it's quite funny, and it kind of reminded me in a way of Flanimals as well, just with like some of the silly examples maybe that weren't in the series. Well, they weren't. Yeah, they were. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not as extreme as Flanimals, but it just kind of reminded me of it a little bit. Better than Flanimals, but there was just something akin to it. Yeah, I really liked it. I think I missed out a little bit because I listened to it on audiobook, and I'm aware that the actual paperback version has got little notes from Harry and Ron, I think, and it's got drawings of some of the creatures and things. So I would actually like to get the book version because my son has been reading all the way through the series. He's now finished and really loved it, and I think it'd be something he'd enjoy as well, so I might try and pick that up at some point, because, you know, I liked it, it was good, and he liked it. I mean, it wasn't amazing, it's not like the original series, but, you know, it was good. I'm going to give it 3 stars. Is that fair? Yeah, it was okay, but with the caveat that I think the actual book version I would give a higher rating to, because, you know, you get more out of it in terms of the fun stuff, which can't be in the audiobook. So there was that. I suppose I should be saying all the authors. I'm so bad at remembering. This is by Lynn Truss. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is by J.K. Rowling, obviously. And then the next book I read was R. Doris, which is by Charles Heathcote. He's got a YouTube channel, I've talked about him before, I'll link him below. I don't have the book to hold up for you, I'll stick a picture, because I've lent it to my mum. Because I think it's just, she would really get the humour of it. I really liked R. Doris, I reviewed it on here, I'll link to my review. I can't remember how many stars I gave it, I think it was 4. It's just a really kind of warm, sweet comedy, quite old-fashioned, very kind of keeping up appearances, written from the perspective of a 70-odd-year-old husband, of a 70-odd-year-old wife. He's like kind of looking at her, talking about what she does and her exploits for the garden safari, and it's very kind of northern British but cosy, sweet comedy. It was just quite comforting to read and funny, and Charlie's really got a way with words in terms of the way that he uses similes and things is spot on. I think I gave it 4 stars. I'll leave a note if that's different. I'll check back on my review. I should make notes of how many stars I give things in here, shouldn't I? But anyway, it's really good. I'd really recommend it, and I'd recommend his channel too. And of course, for a more thorough review, then I'll link my other video above. And then the next book I read, I've also done a more in-depth review, and that was Eleanor Oliphant, or I'll grab the book. That was Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This has been really, really popular lately, which is part of why I wanted to pick it up. I was kind of intrigued by the name too, but I'd seen it doing the rounds. Hadn't really seen any reviews of it and didn't particularly know what it was about, but anyway, it was my book club book, so I was really pleased when I found out that was what we were reading. And yeah, so I wasn't a massive fan of this book. I like the main character, and I also like the character Raymond in it, but I found that things got too sweet in it. And I mean, there are terrible things that happen in this book, but I felt like everyone was too nice eventually. It's hard to explain without giving spoilers away, but yeah, it was just this feeling of the characters were too kind, too sweet. A lot of the resolution of things was people were too giving and too kind, and it was nice that good things were happening, but it just didn't, to me, it took away from the 3-dimensional side of things. So, you know, it's a good book, but and I really enjoyed reading it, but then I just afterwards kind of felt a bit put off by it. So this I gave 3.5 stars, I believe. You know, it's good and it's been really popular, and I'm sure that other people have a different opinion, but for me, it got a little bit too sweet. So what can I say? Anyway, please leave me a comment, like, subscribe, all of that. Let me know what you've been reading this month and if you've read any of these things that I've been reading. And I will see you all for my next one.